Welcome back to What in the World is Happening with King County Real Estate. Let's check it out. In fact, this is a new format for us all here. We're going through what's happening with King County, and then we'll go down to Pierce, and then Kitsap and Snohomish, and then wind up where I live on Vashon. If you want to know what's happening in our area, this is the video to watch. All right. Are you ready? I can't hear you. All right, let's go. Here we go. Starting with our friends in King County. We're going to look at this a couple of different ways. If I can figure out how to do this, and I can, and I did. All right. You're looking at the supply and demand graph for the last 5 years. Crazy. That's like the beginning of the pandemic. I know. Seems like forever ago and yesterday all at once, but it really was the last 4 or 5 years. All right. Blue is the demand. Blue is the number of homes that left the market, went under contract any given month. And the green is the supply, the homes that came to market any given month. Yeah. So you could see a couple things just from a historical perspective. Last year, where'd all the business go? That's what all your realtor friends are saying. Where did all the business go? That's half the number of deals in King County last year. Crazy. And less than half the buyer is the sellers. So inventory just disappeared last year. We can see that. So I'd like to give a little bit of history, a little bit of background so you can see against where we are now. Let's just look at the last 2 years. Here we go. Okay, so you can see a couple things in the last. This is interesting to me because I like graphs and numbers and housing stuff. But look at March. 2,000 new listings came on in March of this year. How many last year? Oh, almost the same number. And the year before? Yeah, it's not as much as the year before, about 30% less than 2022, but as many as 2023. So now it's building. Now the question is it going to continue up and maybe start to get closer to 2022 numbers, or are we leveling off? And is April going to be the same deal? Now, you'd think I'd know, but you'd be wrong. Why? Because my magic 8-ball broke. Nobody knows. There is not any way to know this. The future is not predictable. So you got to be really clear about that, because there are a lot of people that pretend to know these things and they sound very official and they get on the news and they get in and you see them on TikTok and whatever. Some of them are going to be right. That's the way prognostication works. Yes, and I got to use prognostication. That's the way prognostication works. Sometimes you're right. And if you're right, everyone remembers you. It's survivor bias. So, but there's no penalty for being wrong. If people are wrong about their takes on the market, then they are just wrong and you forget about them. And they make lots more predictions later. Some of them are bound to be right. Point is, nobody knows if this graph is going to continue up and match 2022, or is it going to be the same deal as 2023? We can't tell yet. There are more buyers in the market than there were last year. We can tell that, but not as many buyers as 2022 in King County. So it's been heating up. It feels like it could go higher if you want to know the sense of it, but I suspect it will, but I wouldn't bet a lot of money on it. What does that mean? Well, if you're a buyer, I don't think you can count on there being a ton more inventory for you. I think if you find the right house, you should be jumping on that puppy. And if you're selling, okay, you can't, you are in a pretty good position. No matter how you look at it, in any of these numbers in recent past, you are going to wind up, if you price it well, with multiple offers. And pricing it well is the key, because the market has in fact capped what people can pay, right? The interest rate, the bond market has capped what people can pay. That was the point of raising interest rates, was to cap the inflation. And it's done that. People can't pay what they used to be able to pay. Okay. So if you're, which is good news for the sellers, I mean, for the buyers, but sort of sad news for the sellers. Okay. You can't get what you used to get. Or sorry, let's put this accurately. You can't get as much over asking as you used to get. You'll get more money for the house than you would last year, but not just not at the rate at which it had been going in 2022. Okay. That's King County. Now let's look. We're going to head down to Pierce County now. What in the world's happening with Pierce County real estate? Let's look. All right. This is the last 2 years in Pierce County. And this is, although at a lower scale, not dissimilar to King County. All right. You can see there's more buyer demand relative to selling opportunities. Sellers are a little bit lower March this year than March last year, a little bit lower, right? And much lower than 2022. So Pierce County looks like it's shaping up closer to 2023 than 2022 so far, which means ultimately, if you're selling in Pierce County, you should have a fairly easy time to do it. Now, every neighborhood's different, every block is different, every house is different. So you can't tell just by general numbers. That's why Zillow doesn't make any sense to value your house, because they've never been to your house. In general, however, broad strokes, sellers have the upper hand in this kind of a market. When the buying demand is that close to the listings, you can tell that's a very tight seller's market. Okay. Very good for sellers. So price it right, you'll get multiple offers. Buyers, you got to jump on what you can. There's very little indication that there's going to be a significant jump in inventory over the next short term. So if you're buying and you find something you like, I jump on it. And I would look particularly for houses that have been sitting with sellers who thought it was 2022 that are now ready to adjust their price to the new reality. So you got questions about that, you want to let me know. I'm happy to work with you there in Pierce County. Then let's take a look at our friends whipping around the peninsula. Going to head up to Kitsap County. What in the world is happening with Kitsap real estate? Oh, doggy. Check it out. All right. This is, interestingly enough, sort of a mix of the King and Pierce County slides. So green is if you're just tuning in for just the Kitsap part, because that's all you care about, then the green is this supply. Green is the number of new listings. Blue is the demand, houses that went off. So March of this year, 369 new listings. March of 2023, 388, not far off. Okay, but not the 560, the 512 that were in 2022. So again, everywhere we've seen, the county is about 30% lower than 2022, about matching 2023. The question here is it going to continue to go up from here, or are we leveling off? Last April was a big decrease in the number of listings in Kitsap relative to the prior month. We'll see what happens. But buyer demand is fairly steady and increasing. So buyers are getting used to the new interest rates. Sellers are still, this is what this tells me, sellers are still hesitant to sell, given they're locked in at a 2.5%, and they're not really interested in going somewhere to pay 7% unless they have to. And over time, more and more people will have to. That's why it's slowly unwinding. So, if you were to bet on this, I would bet on a slow unwinding, slightly better than last year, but not significantly. But as I already have let people know, and I'm very, very clear about, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea how this is really going to play out. But I do know if you're selling and you price it right in Kitsap, you should have a very easy time selling it. There's just way more demand than supply it can reliably handle. It's a very, very tight gap there. So if you price it well, you'll get multiple offers, period. Okay. And if you're a buyer, you got to jump on what shows up that you can afford. You're, the theory of you don't wait to buy real estate, you buy real estate and wait applies here. Why? Because this will come back. This is, I mean, I can't, again, can't predict the future. The whole area could fall off into the ocean tomorrow, which, it's greater than zero chance of that happening. But if that happens, then everything's everything's screwed. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I going to lose money? There's no way given our water supply, given our climate, given the relative water supply and climate of the rest of the country, well, there'll be demand here for houses for a long time. Okay. So you can pretty much figure on those values going up over time. Buy real estate and wait. Find something that works for today. Don't wait for your dream home. That's what that graph says. Okay. Then moving up north, going up north, we're going to hit Snohomish. All right, say it with me, people. What in the world is happening with Snohomish County real estate? Oh, let's check it out. Again, really similar. This is all four counties have been pretty much the same story, it's just at different volumes. That you are looking at a really close, actually, Snohomish had more inventory than March 23. This is the first time we've seen more inventory this year. Ooh, is that a harbinger of things to come? Harbinger? Harbinger. I think it's harbinger. Is that a harbinger of things to come? I think it could be. Maybe. We'll see. But nothing like 2022. So, we'll see how this thing pans out. And I'm saying that like 2022, but even 2022 wasn't this huge year. It wasn't like 2022 was some, banner year for houses in the area. If you look, okay, thanks. Generating. If you look, 2022 was good, but wasn't fantastic. I mean, here's 2022. It's strong, but the buyer demand was way off. You get out here, 2017, 2018 was better then. More demand in 2017. So, uh, you know, it's getting back to 2022 would be nice in terms of inventory, but and these are the pandemic years with all that demand and no inventory, or what we thought was no inventory at the time, and then inventory was like, yeah, hold my beer. This is what no inventory looks like. But yeah, so 2022 is not like some outlier great year. Okay. It's a pretty standard year. Are we going to get back there? I don't think we get back there this year, but I certainly think it's going to get better than 2023. We'll see if I'm right. Yeah. So if you're buying, find something that works. Do not wait for the right house to come along, because it could be a really long time. It's just not going to, just could be a really long time. You never know, but unlikely that that goes some other way. Then moving right along, bringing this puppy home, Vashon Island, last 2 years. What a freak show compared to the other graphs. Just a freak show here. I mean, there's so little inventory. That couple of houses sell and it makes everything look crazy. But March this year saw 20 new listings come on. March last year was only 11. That's the only area where we see that. This is what I mean by I say every neighborhood's different, every block's different, every area is different. We were looking at county level, a lot of data. Town level, Vashon Island, little data, hard to make predictions off that. Okay. But we do. I love our Vashon. I love it. Um, but we have more inventory than we had in the past, and you know, buyer demand not that strong. But we'll see. You know, buyer demand usually picks up in May. April last year, not so much. May, June picks up. This is May, June. Buyer demand picks up. So does inventory, though. So I would expect, the realtors here to be putting more things on. Let's find out if April moves up past April of last year here. We'll see. It's really interesting what's going to happen with the buyers. It's very interested in pricing and how that whole thing plays out on Vashon, given, you know, you can't even really see it. This is just 5 years. Let's go back to 10 years. I'll show you the same kind of thing that you could see in Sammamish, Snohomish County. Oh, it's the same time scale. Is this what's happening here? Okay, generate those results. There we go. All right, so you can see that we used to reliably get 35 on a month over the summer months, and then that just went away with the pandemic, and we've never gotten back. If this pops over 2023 and being the only area that pops over 2023, you could see us get up to here maybe next year with 35 houses listed, but we'll see how the whole thing plays out. If you're selling on Vashon right now, you got to price it right. You got to get it right because there were 20 new listings put on last month. That's a lot of listings for a small village. We're a weird little village. That's a lot of listings. That's, sort of peak over the last 2 years. And the buyers were half that. So you got to price it right if you're listing on Vashon. And if you're buying, you haven't had a better selection, right? There's not been a time in the last couple of years where there's been a vastly better range of what to buy. So, you got the pick of the litter. I don't know that you can get things for nothing, but you certainly can get things, at a decent price. There it is. Here's my smiley face. You can definitely negotiate. Yeah. And that's it. That's the entire region. So look, if you have questions about this, because the difference between Vashon and Pierce County, King County, county level stuff points to that's the difference between Puyallup and Tacoma and Renton and Issaquah and Shoreline and, wherever, because and then the blocks get different. Every area is distinct. So you really do want to take the time and get someone in there to see and value your house. And I would be delighted to be that someone. So let me know if you got a home or you're shopping in this area. Let's find you some bargains. Okay. Get on my mailing list. We have a steal of the week and a deal of the week and an opportunity to find great, great bargains, great values, great down payment assistance plans. All sorts of grants are available to you. Love to help anyone with that. If you could share this, like it, subscribe anywhere you're seeing this on the socials. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you next month or hopefully before. Let me know what else I can do for you. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at eXp Realty. Peace out.